From Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, this is the News at 10. Live from Channels Television. Reporting tonight, Ayotunde Balogun.
Hello and welcome tonight. River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara withdraws from the forthcoming All Progressives Congress governorship primaries, citing the need to preserve peace, unity and stability in the state. As prominent leaders and pro-democracy icons gather in Lagos for the launch of the NADECO story, Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka applauds the group, describes it as one built on truth, courage and authenticity. With exactly a month to the Ekiti State governorship election, INEC Chairman Professor Joash Amokwiton warns staff of the commission in the state to desist from actions capable of undermining the credibility of the exercise. And Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping renew plans for a natural gas pipeline between Russia and China, though no details about the project or a timeline for its completion have been provided.
On business news, Femi Otedola announces plans to invest $100 million in Dangote Petroleum Refinery.
On sports news tonight, Aston Villa are Europa League champions after thrashing Freiburg 3-0 to end a 44-year wait for European glory.
And from the nation's capital, National Drug Law Enforcement Agency announces the smashing of a Nigerian-Mexican meth cartel with the arrest of 3 Mexican and 6 other persons.
Believe it or not, this may come as a big surprise for political observers and supporters, as River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has withdrawn from the forthcoming All Progressives Congress governorship primaries, citing the need to preserve peace, unity and stability in the state. Now, Governor Fubara, in a statement, said the decision followed deep reflection and extensive consultations with family, friends and associates. He stated that although the decision was difficult, he remained committed to supporting whoever emerges as the candidate of the party. According to him, the peace, stability and unity of the state should take precedence over individual interests at this critical period. Governor Fubara expressed gratitude to his supporters for their loyalty, prayers and sacrifices throughout the political process, acknowledging that many may feel disappointed by his withdrawal. The governor also hinted at facing intense political pressures and difficult choices, but maintained that his love for River State outweighed personal considerations. Now, President Bola Tinubu has assured Nigerians that all political, social and security promises will be fully fulfilled. Delivering the president's message at Onikon in Lagos, former Ogun State Governor Olusegun Oshoba spoke at the launch of a definitive new memoir, The NADECO Story, authored by NADECO Secretary General Chief Ayo Okpadokun. The event recounts the nation's democratic history, honoring past heroes who fought against military tyranny. In this presentation, Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka describes NADECO as a coalition built on truth, courage, and authenticity.
This debate is there, not only retrospective, it is forward-moving. It challenges some of us to uphold democratic ideas that were so dearly fought for and to remain vigilant in their defense. A central highlight of today's ceremony is the launch of the NADECO story. The publication is more than a book. It is a repository of truth, a chronicle of resistance, and a tribute to the indomitable spirit of the Nigerian people. It captures with clarity and authenticity the triumphs, strategies, sacrifices, and triumph of a moment that stood against authoritarian rule. Importantly, the NADECO story ensures neither distorted nor forgotten. It offers younger generations an opportunity to understand the price of the freedoms they enjoy today, while providing scholars, policymakers, and citizens with a credible account of one of the most divided periods in our national history.
Every page of this book I read carefully, really the truth, which one can testify to personally, and which, in any case, without even needing to practice, carries an aura of authenticity because of the way it is narrated. It's spoken, it's written, and it's narrated not just from physical participation, but from documentary. Every bit of it, I assure you, brings it true. I don't pretend that this is the whole story. No. But he tells his part of it, what is investigated, what they have called to act upon, and we prove its veracity by the results that follow encounters with other people. I really am most appreciative that you give us this document and the rest of the story that will continue to happen. I hope everyone here who has any inclination to learn is taking note. This is a model of this return. I recommend it very much.
A presidential aspirant under the platform of the African Democratic Congress, the ADC, Mr. Mohamed Hayatuddin, is pledging to abide by the decision of the party with regards to the mode of selecting the party's flag bearer. Fielding questions from judges.
To go through that process. And if I'm successful in being the nominee, I would like to pledge to the Nigerian people that I will wage a campaign that is disciplined, focused, and geared towards meeting the yearnings and aspirations of Nigerians at a very difficult moment in the nation's history, given problems that relate to insecurity, the high cost of living crisis, massive unemployment, the lack of jobs, lack of power, lack of infrastructure, dilapidated educational and health institutions.
Now, reactions continue to trail the APC primary exercise as the All Progressives Congress has concluded its National Assembly primaries with major political upsets and comebacks emerging from the exercise. Now, the primaries, which held in Plateau, Kano, and Taraba states, however, produced some upsets as some serving senators failed in their bid to secure tickets back to the Senate.
From the hills of Plateau to the commercial city of Kano and the agrarian Taraba state, the All Progressives Congress conducted its senatorial primaries. In Plateau, the APC Electoral Committee Chairman, Stella Okotete, described the exercise as peaceful, transparent and credible, saying it was conducted in line with party guidelines. The primaries produced one of its biggest surprises as serving Senator Dicket Plank lost his bid to return to the Senate. Former Senate Minority Leader Simon Watkon emerged as the APC candidate for Plateau North, while former Governor Simon Lalong picked the ticket for Plateau South. Meanwhile, some of the politicians who were sacked by court judgments after the 2023 elections have now staged political comebacks through the primaries.
Anybody who was not approved by my committee that has gone ahead to do a fake declaration is null and void.
The contest in Kano was equally peaceful as Fahad Dankabo, one of the leading contenders for the Gwazo-Kabo Federal Constituency seat, declared his support for the party's consensus candidate, Abdullahi Babangandu.
Taraba Central is the
former deputy governor of the state, Haruna Manu, claimed the ticket as the candidate of the All Progressives Congress via consensus voice vote affirmation to serve Taraba Central Senatorial Zone.
By the special grace of God, when we come back in 2027, is to consolidate on what we have done. Some of the gains that we have made so far is to consolidate on them and then improve upon them.
As more results pour in, some aggrieved aspirants may be exploring the option of heading to the appeals committee while attention shifts to the governorship primaries.
Across the world, intimidating our people. I've been screaming this for days.
Yes!
In Lagos, the lawmaker representing Surulere won at the State House of Assembly, Desmond Elliott, who is also contesting for his re-election against Barakat Odunuka Bakari, has withdrawn from the Lagos State House of Assembly race. Desmond Elliott made the announcement on his Instagram page, saying he rejects the process and results from the polling units, citing intimidation and the denial of accreditation to his supporters. In the last few days, the lawmaker representing Surulere 1 has been explaining himself on national television, insisting that he has nothing to do with the removal of the current Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Mudashiru Obasa, saying he remains loyal to his leader, the Chief of Staff to the President, Mr. Femi Gbajabiamila. In Rivers, the state chapter of the All Progressives Congress has expressed optimism as next year's general elections draw near. This was as they conducted their State House of Assembly primaries across the 32 state constituencies across the state. Speaking to journalists at Oginigba in Obiakpo local government area after the emergence of Leslie Ejeko as candidate, a former council chairman, George Ariolu, said they are working as a coalition and that they are confident of their chances at the polls. Our correspondent, Charles Operum, reports.
It's a buzz across Rivers State as the All Progressives Congress conducts its primaries for the State House of Assembly tickets. Here at Oginiba Town Hall, Obiakpo, Ward 6, a crowd of party supporters are gathered to elect their candidate, and the only aspirant for the constituency is Leslie Ejeko, a lawyer and former chairman of the party's Obiakpo chapter. He is gunning to replace the current speaker, Martin Amewule, who is contesting for a seat at the House of Representatives. While there are 2,210 registered voters, 1,893 are accredited. The votes are counted and announced, with Leslie being affirmed as the party's candidate. Speaking to journalists, the newly elected candidate thanks his people while assuring them of quality representation.
We have been serving our people in one capacity or the other, but today, by the help of our leader, His Excellency, Chief Barrister Nyesom Ezenwa-Wike, who is the FCT Minister and the leader of the Renewed Hope family of Bola Ahmed Tinubu in Rivers State, has given us this opportunity today to be able to come out to seek for the mandate of our people, to serve them as a member representing Obiakpo Constituency 1 at the Rivers State House of Assembly. We hope that at the end of the day, come February 2027, we'll be able to present ourselves again to the general public for them to vote us in, to give us the opportunity to serve our people effectively well and efficiently well.
In his reaction, however, a former chairman of Obiakpo local government, George Ariolu, backs Leslie's emergence, saying they are working as a rainbow coalition to push the best candidates forward.
Well, you are aware of the political arrangement in Rivers State, structured by our leader, the FCT Minister, Chief Nyesom-Wike. That's the Rainbow Coalition. So there is it's an arrangement where APC and PDP are fused together to achieve a common political purpose. And that is why I'm here. I am the leader of Renewed Hope in Ward 6. I am the leader of PDP in Ward 6. So I came here to observe it because it's a party issue and all of that. But we give ourselves the support, needed support. When we have ours, they will also come, and then also help us organize and make sure it goes off successfully. So it's an agreement, an arrangement. We have voted our aspirant now a candidate, and that is what it is. Then we have to go back to get ready for the general election.
Elsewhere at Ororuko, the lawmaker representing Port Harcourt Constituency 1 in the Rivers State House of Assembly secures the party's ticket unopposed, polling 512 votes in Ward 9, Ororuko community.
Despite the crisis that we have in the state, I've been representing my people, carrying out my legislative duties, to make sure that laws that are meaningful are passed in the State Assembly concerning my people. So I believe with all that and so many projects that have attracted to different wards that made up my constituency.
At the completion of Wednesday's primaries, the political situation is gradually taking shape as allies of the FCT minister consolidate their positions as they go into the general elections next year. Charles Oporum, Channels Television News.
In part two, after the break, Chief Executive Officer of Financial Derivatives, Mr. Bismarck Rawani, joins us to analyze decisions reached at this month's CBN MPC meeting. Please stay with us.
You make choices every day. Your essential routine shouldn't be one of them. Start with Nivea Men Deep Body Lotion with Max Tech, powered by Black Carbon, that gives you 48 hours moisture. Then, lock in that powerful dark wood scent with Nivea Men Deep Roll-On with Max Tech that gives you 72 hours sweat and odor protection. Skin is for playing it smart. Nivea is for skin. Nivea Men, proud sponsors of Real Madrid.
Welcome, sir. We need to look at this report.
What can we offer you?
Don't worry.
Mr. Chef, it's a two-finger crush.
Pass the beef and crayfish.
With Mr. Chef, a simple crush turns meals into culture and moments into memories.
This is the true taste of home.
And culture. Chef of life.
Some say learning is fun, but as a mom, I see how demanding it can be for my child. That's why I ensure he starts every day with a cup of Bonvita. Bonvita. Prepare them to win every day.
Oh. You feel that?
Feel what?
The crash zone.
Crash what?
The crash zone. It builds suspense, uncovers evidence, foreshadows danger. You feel it now?
Oh, yeah.
I guess I'll go and try and find a ladder.
Progress no dey happen just like that. It dey come from support when you need help.
Mommy, I got the school fees. You too much.
Na money point.
Money point, thank you.
Customer, na transfer, abi? Confirm.
Bro, na transfer.
Na money point, Oga. Oh, na confirm.
Progress na peace of mind when you know say payment go land as Sure Banker. Progress na small win where the carry person go far.
No worry, yourself go make am. No go buy ball.
Victor, even you they use money point?
Of course now, they use money point.
Confirm.
Money point, made for your progress.
So creamy, tastes better with Cremella.
Enjoy the deliciously rich taste of Cremella Crema.
For any other choice of meal, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, even between meals.
It's hard to resist the deliciously rich taste of Cremella. It tastes better with Cremella.
Oh. You feel that?
Feel what?
The crash zone.
Crash what?
The crash zone. It builds suspense, uncovers evidence, foreshadows danger. You feel it now?
Oh, yeah.
I guess I'll go and try and find a ladder.
Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the News at 10 on Channels Television, broadcasting live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. River State Governor Simonalai Fubara withdraws from the forthcoming All Progressives Congress governorship primaries, citing the need to preserve peace, unity and stability in the state. As prominent leaders and pro-democracy icons gather in Lagos for the launch of the NADECO story, Nobel laureate Professor Wale Soyinka applauds the group, describes it as one built on truth, courage and authenticity. With exactly a month to the Ekiti State governorship election, INEC Chairman Professor Josh Amukwiton warned staff of the commission in the state to desist from actions capable of undermining the credibility of the exercise. And Vladimir Putin and Xi Jinping renew plans for a natural gas pipeline between Russia and China, though no details about the project or a timeline for its completion have been provided. Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Josh Amukwiton, has read the Right Act for staff of the Commission in Ekiti State ahead of the governorship election in June, warning them to desist from actions capable of undermining the credibility of the exercise. The INEC chairman spoke at a meeting with staff of the Commission in Ado-Ekiti ahead of the signing of the peace accord by candidates contesting the election. Also, the INEC boss drew the attention of staff to the provisions of the new electoral law, emphasizing the roles of electoral officers in the conduct of the polls, while also assuring them of appropriate rewards for those who perform creditably during the exercise.
This moment signifies a crucial step in reinforcing the integrity, the transparency, and credibility of our electoral process. The voters' register is the foundation upon which free, fair, and credible elections are built. Its accuracy, completeness, and integrity are paramount to ensuring that every eligible voter's voice is heard and that the will of the people is accurately reflected. The election must be run peacefully. Campaigns must be based on issues and not on personality or nepotism. One of the major challenges and constraints to our electoral process is the issue of vote buying or vote trading. This is a criminal offense under the Electoral Act, and it is the responsibilities of the law enforcement agencies, most especially the EFCC, the ICPC, and the police, to ensure that those that are involved in it are arrested and promptly prosecuted. It is the responsibility of INEC to prosecute. Therefore, we urge all political parties to please refrain from this issue of vote trading.
Now, Nigeria's Central Bank's Monetary Policy Committee, the MPC, has retained its benchmark interest rate at 26.5% following the outcome of its two-day meeting. The CBN governor, Olayemi Cardozo, who made this known, says the committee also maintained cash reserve ratio for deposit money banks as well as merchant banks at 45% and 16% accordingly, while it also retained all other policy parameters at their current levels.
As projected by most economists, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria holds all parameters on the back of global uncertainty from the Middle East war.
The MPC was, therefore, convinced that the essential conditions for price stability remain firmly in place. In addition, the committee welcomed the recent sovereign rating upgrade amid prevailing external headwinds. This further underscores the strength of the country's macroeconomic fundamentals and reinforces confidence in its reform trajectory and policy credibility.
Experts, however, call for caution and relying on the buffers.
So we also need to look at the contents of the buffer. Where is the majority of the funds coming from? I think a lot of it is also from FPIs that have that are known to have short-term interests. They are just people that are yield hunting, and just like they go to where they feel their capital is adequately compensated. So it's not going to be a long relationship with those kind of guys.
Concerns on retained cash reserve ratio at 45% for commercial banks and 16% for merchant banks.
The possibility of the system being awash with enormous amount of liquidity arising from the treasury that will be funding elections. INEC has to be funded. Political parties will spend so much money so will come into the system. I believe a number of the MPC members must have thought of that and said, well, yes, there is a huge cry about this cash reserve ratio. Should we let it down? Should we reduce it? But if we reduce it and at the same time money comes in, inflation could easily come.
Finding a balance in the disruption from geopolitics, mainly from the Middle East, as well as election spending are some of the considerations for the MPC ahead of the next meeting, which is scheduled for July 20 and 21. Ini John Mekwa, Channels Television News.
Now, for more on the MPC's decision for the month of May, I'm now joined by the CEO of Financial Derivatives Company, Mr. Bismarck Rawani, on the news at 10. It's great to have you again, Mr. Rawani.
Thank you for having me.
26.5%. That's what the CBN is retaining as the
NPR.
So the question is, why is the CBN taking chances or taking no chances?
They're taking no chances.
They're taking no chances.
Right.
So what can you tell us concerning this?
So basically, as expected, it was held, and all other parameters were left unchanged. So basically, they were not taking any chances because remember last time, 5 days after the MPC meeting,
that was in February.
In February, that was when everything all hell let loose. But ever since then, like we said, once beaten, twice shy. Nigeria's MPC, 24th cut of NPR by a cautious 50 basis points in February. 4 days later, we had a shock in Iran. The price of Brent has averaged over $100 per barrel for 11 weeks. Global inflation has spiked by 0.6% to 4.4%, and Nigeria's headline inflation rose to 15.69%. Nigeria is insulated, but not isolated. And then that's the most important message here. Now, ever since then, global growth has been down and inflation up. So what are we saying? Global growth has gone all the way from 3 to 3.1 and then all the way down to 2.6 because of the conflict. Since the war began, global GDP has slowed by at least 1%. On the other hand, inflation has increased. In the US, inflation has gone from 2.4 all the way to 3.8. In China, it has actually gone from 1 to 1.2. The European Union area has gone from 1.7 to 3%, and the United Kingdom, strangely, has gone down from 3.3 to 2.8. So that's where we are. And so what next? And how? So ever since this thing has happened in the last 3 months, 10 central banks that we track, 8 have maintained status quo, and while 2 has cut rates, Nigeria is not an outlier. So Nigeria has done everything. And if you look at it, oil-producing country, in Angola cut rates by 50 basis points. Ghana, after our meeting today, Ghana had a meeting later in the afternoon, they paused, and Nigeria paused at 26.5. So nothing strange happening, no taking chances, no risks. That's what we say. Next slide. So the market reaction today, the market expected no changes. Naira remained flat at 1,395 to a dollar. The stock market, strangely enough, lost 1.02% in higher turnover. Why? Because the foreign portfolio investors were rotating towards U.S. 10-year bonds, were priced, giving a yield of 5%. The price of gas was down by 3.2%. This is just initial reactions.
Initial reactions.
Yeah, so that's what it is. But no surprises. And markets don't like surprises. Next, inflation is still a key issue in Nigeria. Inflation has come down, and then all of a sudden in March and April, we are expecting a slight increase in May to 15.9%. Why? Inflation is muted in Nigeria because exchange rate has been stable. And we'll talk about the exchange rate in a minute. Another issue is Dangote refinery. It's pushed up prices, but also brought it down. PMS diesel. And more importantly, they brought down the price of aviation fuel. All the way, it was at 3,000, they brought it down to 1,675. Then there's the fear of election spending, and we'll talk about that very well again. Now, food inflation is still a problem. Rice in April was 65,000, down to 60,000 naira. So it's down by 7%. And now the forecast is to be at 63,000 in June. Eggs went up from 6,000 to 6,500 for a 30 egg crate, right? Up 8.3%. Chicken per kilo stayed flat at 6,500 per kilo. Honey beans, which is beans or Olonye beans, stayed flat at 70,000. It's projected to go to 73,000. PMS petrol is at 1,300, and actually Dangote's gantry price is 1,275, up by 2.69%. Cooking gas has been up, and flour for bread has come down from 64,000 by 15% down to 60,000. But strangely enough, the price of bread has stayed flat, so the bakers are making it out. So simple average, inflation is down by about 0.58%. Now, the exchange rate, everybody talks about the exchange rate.
Exactly.
Why the naira? First of all, the power market today is at 1,395, about 1,400.
1,400.
The official rate is at 1,371. The purchasing power parity value is 1,193. And the hamburger index, which is one item index, which I ignore, is 2,635. But the one important calculation, if you divide your money supply by your external reserves and total exports put together, it gives you 1,194. Look at this figure and look at that figure, PPP. So this is probably a proxy for that, and that's very, very important. Typically, over time, a currency will move towards its PPP value, but not in this time of crisis. So what are the fundamental determinants of a currency value? You see that the terms of trade of Nigeria is improving. That is, our oil price is higher than our price of imports. Gross external reserves are at $49 billion, probably going to touch 50. Oil price average since this crisis is $105 a barrel. Don't forget we had some forward commitments. Bank recapitalization is successful, and S&P has upgraded our sovereign rating. So technically speaking, we are in a good place, right? Okay. Now, the one big question is that Dangote refinery says no price gouging. In other words, he's bringing down prices and it's reflective of the global price. And even if he was about to gouge, there's the Consumer Protection Agency, and Dangote is about to reduce prices as the Brent falls. Brent price falls, and now it's 105. It was 115 about 2 days ago. And so let's see how it goes. Next is that some people say that Dangote is suing the federal government, is being combative, but we say it's being collaborative. What he has asked for is a declaratory judgment. So what does the law say? The PIA says that you cannot give import licenses for anybody to bring in imported refined products if there's no evidence of shortage. So,
and there's no evidence of shortage.
There's no evidence. In fact, there's no shortage. So that means that something definitely has to happen. And then declaratory judgment, Dangote Refining has no choice but to collaborate and cooperate with government to bring down prices. Now, the third factor in inflation, if you move forward, we're going to talk about this refinery and public listing. The third factor is election spending. Right? Election spending, we economists look at optimal solutions, look at rational expectations. For politics, I'm not a politician, so I don't know. What we do is we say we take the cleanest of the dirty shirts, assuming that all of the dirty shirts. Right? So that's what we have. All the shirts are dirty, but you take the cleanest of them. Right? Now, next, Dangote Refinery and public listing. We think that public listing will be $50 billion to move market capitalization from about 160 trillion to 228 trillion. Octodollar has just announced that it's buying $100 million of. The pension funds have been allowed to participate in the IPO. So this is a win-win situation. And basically, once the market reaches that level, all other participants, foreign portfolio investors and all will come in, and that may be a game changer for Nigeria. Next slide. So revenue up, fiscal spending high. I already said it. Nigerian revenue has risen by 2.2 trillion. Domestic oil production is up. However, we need to be able to recycle government spending in an efficient way and block leakages. If not, you're just going to be we're playing with mirrors all along.
Especially when the election
is
just a year away.
And our power sector, which is a problem, sucks. It's in the toilet, quite frankly. So we have to do something about it. power sector. So finally, what are you going to be watching out for? May 18th to June 7th, French Open tennis. We have the Muslim holidays, 26, 27, when it's confirmed. OPEC meets June 7th. FIFA World Cup starts June 11th. Federal Reserve meeting on June 17th under Kevin Walsh, the new chairman. Bank of England meets June 18th. June 20, Ekiti state elections. So finally, what is life going to look for?
In the month of July.
For you in the month of July. 1, survivors. Food prices up. Transport fares flat. House rent up. Electricity up. I think they've scrapped the band A to whatever it is in Lagos State. For corporates, high utility cost. Diesel price stays flat. Borrowing cost flat. Salaries flat. And El Dorado or suffering or smiling. Elites, airline tickets up, international school fees up, luxury goods up, if you can afford them. Taxation, personal income tax up, VAT up, capital gains tax up. So, what to do? Outlook, we end this session today. Brent will trade between 98 and 105. I won't be surprised if it goes down to 90. But even at 90, we are in the money. Nigeria is in the money. Nigerian oil production will be at about 1.45 million barrels. Naira will remain stable at the range of 1390 to 1420. Energy costs will remain elevated as the war persists. That's global energy cost. The stock market will hit 260 trillion after Dangote listing. Dangote refinery IPO is already oversubscribed. Take it and run with it.
And of course, most importantly for Nigerians, the fuel, the cost of fuel, PMS, that's another.
And it's going to come down, right?
Hopefully.
Okay, that's what it is.
Mr. Bismarck-Rwani, thank you for your
thoughts.
Thank
you very much for having me.
So right now, let's head to the nation's capital where Gloria Umezoke is standing by to give us the latest from our studios in Abuja. Over to you, Gloria.
Thank you, Ayo. Here in Abuja, the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency has announced the smashing of a Nigerian-Mexican meth cartel with the arrest of 3 Mexicans and 6 others. This is in addition to recovering 480 billion naira meth precursors from a massive clandestine lab in the Ogun forest. Addressing a news conference in Abuja, the chairman of the chief executive officer of the agency, Brigadier General Buba Marwa, warns that no matter how deep into the bush illicit drug manufacturers hide or how secure their estate gate is, the NDLEA will hunt down and disrupt their networks. From across major media outfits in Abuja, journalists converge on the headquarters of the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency for a news conference. The briefing begins with the announcement of the smashing of a Nigerian-Mexican meth cartel in Ogun State.
Barely 2 weeks ago, we announced the successful takedown of a high-profile drug trafficking organization headed by Simon Amadi in a complex multi-country operation involving the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, Greece, France, Switzerland, and of course, NDLEA. Today, I am proud to announce that the NDLEA has again struck another crippling blow to the hearts of transnational organized crime. After months of painstaking, credible intelligence, our operatives launched a well-coordinated strike simultaneously in Ogun.
The need for Nigerians to report suspicious activities, strange chemical odors, or unusual movements in their localities is stressed as the NDLEA bus highlights recent successes recorded by the agency.
This criminal syndicate did not just traffic drugs. They were actively manufacturing industrial-scale quantities of highly lethal methamphetamine right on our soil, threatening the national security and public health in Nigeria. Our primary target was a remote and desolate farm located at Abidigba Forest in Ijebu East local government area of Ogun State.
Although the arrested suspects will be prosecuted, General Marwa insists that the war against illicit drugs is for the soul of Nigeria as a nation, and the agency will not back down until it achieves a drug-free Nigeria.
Well, still ahead on the news at 10, Femi Otedola announces plans to invest $100 million in Dangote Petroleum Refinery. That's on Business News. Please join us again.
You feel that?
Feel what?
The crash zone.
Crash what?
The crash zone. It builds suspense, uncovers evidence, foreshadows danger. You feel it now?
Oh, yeah.
I guess I'll go and try and find a ladder.
For you, every day is day one. Day one for you to give 100. 100 on the track, on the road, at work, because it's your job to give your all. 100 with the gang. And on the dance floor. Truth is, you're not wired to give less. Your future is now. So live it real, loud, full and free. You live it 100.
My baba, they always say, for market, every day gets your own wahala. Sometimes people go on scamming. But Baba say, no be by gra. You must cool down, dey sharp. Because with OPay payment, your money go enter sharp, no story. But inside market, anything fit happen. One day, we no see phone again. My Baba remember OPay USSD lock, that's star 955 star 131 hash. Baba press and lock account. From market woman to driver, from small boy to big man. Now OPay, they protect people like us. My Baba fit sell, press phone, collect POS, and still they teach me price. And when they don't tire am, go just tap OPay night guard. We no fear for this our hustle life. Now OPay be the people payment shield.
TerraQ, now available in crayfish. TerraQ, unwrap joy, unleash taste.
Welcome back. You're still watching the news at 10, coming to you live on Channels Television. The Federal Airports Authority of Nigeria, FAN, says enhanced preventive measures have been activated at all international airports following concerns over the Ebola virus disease outbreak in parts of Central Africa. The authority says the move is aimed at protecting passengers and maintaining safe airport operations across the country. In a statement issued in Lagos, FAN says it is working closely with Port Health Services, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control and Prevention, NCDC, and other relevant agencies to intensify passenger surveillance, especially for travelers arriving from high-risk countries, with screening procedures also being strengthened at arrival points nationwide. According to the agency, passengers showing symptoms associated with Ebola will be immediately isolated and subjected to secondary health checks, in line with national and international health safety protocols. And over to education. Safety in the sector has been identified as a critical factor that cannot be overlooked. And the Nigerian Union of Teachers, NUT, who are strongly condemning what they describe as wicked and inhumane attacks on innocent educators and learners. The union says it is unimaginable that schools, which should serve as safe havens for teaching and learning, have become targets of violent attacks by armed bandits and terrorists. In a statement jointly signed by the national president of the union, Comrade Audu Amba, and the Secretary General, Mr. Clinton Ikpe-Tibo, the NUT says the ugly development has created fear, panic, and emotional trauma among teachers, students, parents, and the school community. The statement adds that while the union stands in solidarity with the affected schools, families of the teachers murdered, the abducted school principal, teachers and innocent school children, as well as their families, there is an urgent need for the federal government to intervene and stop the attacks on schools nationwide. And that's it from the nation's capital. It's back to you, Ayo, in Lagos.
Thank you so much, Gloria. Seplat Energy has held its 13th annual general meeting with shareholders praising the company's strong performance as it recorded total revenue of $2.726 billion for the year ended December 31st, 2025. The company also declared a final dividend of 8.3 US cents per share, bringing the total dividend payout for the 2025 financial year to 25 US cents per share.
The 13th annual general meeting of Seplat Energy convenes shareholders and board members in a hybrid format to review the financial year ended December the 31st, 2025.
Kindly cast your votes.
Chairman of the board, Udoma highlights the company's achievements, stating that it recorded total revenue of $2.726 billion. He also reaffirms the company's commitment to return at least $1 billion in dividends to shareholders between 2026 and 2030, as the company declared a final dividend of 8.3 US cents per share, bringing the total dividend payout to 25 US cents per share.
So we have committed ourselves to deliver $1 billion US in terms of dividends over the next 4 or 5 years. And we are well on track. This year, we've just announced a dividend of 25 cents.
The AGM also features the approval and appointment, election and re-election of auditors and non-executive directors of the company. On future strategies, Seplat Energy plc says it intends to remain a reliable supplier of energy as it seeks to expand operations beyond Africa.
This was a celebratory AGM because our shareholders are so happy with us. Each time we make a promise, we meet our promise. So we believe that we are on target to be the leading energy company in Nigeria and beyond.
You're seeing a massive uplift in revenues and profits for the business. We have a very strong complement of staff, both onshore and offshore.
We are fully and 100% Nigerian company, in terms of workforce, with over 99.99% of the workforce being Nigerian. But beyond that, we are also very deeply involved in making sure that we grow internal capacity within the country.
With regards to our social responsibility, think about every social activity. Seplat is at the heart of it, be it education, health, access to energy, and we're doing a lot with the schools and young people.
The annual general meeting ends with shareholders applauding the company's performance for the 2025 financial year, commending its increased profitability and revenue growth.
Business News is up next with Will Ebo.
Thank you, Ayotunde. Billionaire CEO and chairman of First Holdco, Femi Otedola, is set to invest
$100 million in the Dangote Petroleum Refinery through a private placement arrangement. And this comes as First Holdco recently visited the refinery, signaling growing corporate interests in the project. Now, if completed, the transaction would mark a notable increase in private sector participation in Nigeria's downstream oil and gas sector. And talking about investments, the domestic equities market reversed gains recorded in yesterday's trading session after the central bank held interest rates today. Laddie Williams brings the highlights.
Well, the midweek trade sees a big pullback today. We see the all-share index losing the 250K level. That 1.02%, a big pullback to kick off this midweek trade, 159.58 trillion for the market cap. Now we see the market move up to the downside today. Bois Cement with a market cap of 14 trillion naira. This is a pullback. Also big drops from tier one banks like First Holdco, GTCO, Access Score. Also, most of the sectors we track down today, 0.31% for the banking counter. Consumer goods not left out, 0.45%. Oil and gas, the least there, 0.10%. And today we had the second MPC interest rate decision meeting of 2026. It was a whole decision, and we see the bears took profit.
Thank you, Laddie. Let's check out the closing numbers for other major stock markets. And that's business news. I am Will Ibang. Is back to Ayo for more on the news at 10.
Many thanks, Will. Here's Sami Puzu with our international news from our London studio. It's Around the World in 5.
Good evening and welcome to the channel's studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Russian President Vladimir Putin and Chinese leader Xi Jinping have renewed plans for a natural gas pipeline between Russia and China, though no new details have been released. The previously agreed deal had been stalled for years, but the two countries reached a general understanding about the pipeline, according to the Kremlin. The agreement comes as the two leaders meet in Beijing and signed more than 20 agreements on trade and tech, as well as a declaration on a multipolar world order. The World Health Organization says there have now been 600 suspected cases of Ebola and 139 suspected deaths, with numbers expected to rise further given the time taken to detect the virus. 51 cases have now been confirmed in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where the first case was reported, and 2 in neighbouring Uganda. Speaking to journalists in Geneva, the World Health Organization chief said the outbreak was likely to have started a couple of months ago. On Sunday, the World Health Organization declared a public health emergency of international concern, but said it was not at pandemic level.
It's a fast-moving situation, and what we're seeing is that it's only been, a week since it was first diagnosed that it's this particular strain of Ebola virus, Bundibugyo, and the testing of cases is accelerating, but the positivity rate is quite high.
There is a yearning in this country for somebody who will vote for principles over party.
Thomas Massie, the independent-minded congressman from Kentucky, has been comfortably defeated in the Republican primary race to decide who goes forward to take on the Democrats in November's midterms. He opposed Trump's tax and spending budget package last year because he said it drove up the federal deficit. He also voted to curtail the president's military operations in Venezuela and Iran, and perhaps most notably, he was the driving force behind efforts in the House of Representatives to force the release of Justice Department files on Jeffrey Epstein.
I have called and conceded the race. We've been honorable the whole time, and we're going to stay that way. We were able to go toe-to-toe. There was never a week that we got outspent more than 2-1 in this entire race. They are what recharges my batteries when I come back from Washington, D.C., these grandbabies. And that's what we're fighting for, really, is the next generation and the next generation after that.
President Trump with you?
Actually, I do. I talked to him late last night. He said, go over there and make a bunch of friends, as many friends.
Meanwhile, President Donald Trump's special envoy to Greenland, Jeff Landry, has begun his visit to the Arctic island in a bid to build ties and make friends. But Landry's visit to the territory, a semi-autonomous part of Denmark, has touched a nerve, with Greenlandic Prime Minister Jens Frederik Nielsen reiterating his country is not for sale, and some Greenlanders giving Landry the cold shoulder. The trip comes amid efforts to resolve a diplomatic crisis sparked by the US president when he threatened to seize Greenland by force.
The Greenlanders are a little nervous about what your intentions are. If it's still to acquire Greenland, what do you say to that?
Oh, no, look, I'm here simply to build relationships and to look and listen and to learn and to see if there are opportunities to expand the relationship between Greenland, the United States, and Denmark. And so, it's a great day. I'm excited.
UK citizens are among dozens of nationalities who will soon have to apply for a visa if they wish to stay in Thailand for more than 30 days. Tourists from 39 countries have been able to visit without needing a visa for 60 days since July 2024, as part of a government effort to boost the economy following the COVID pandemic. But it approved plans to revoke this exemption, with how long travellers can stay to now be decided on a country-by-country basis. It cited security and a confusing visa scheme among reasons for the change. There have been a series of high-profile arrests of foreigners in the Southeast Asian nation, including cases linked to drugs and sex trafficking.
Satisfying, that, isn't it?
And Kylie Minogue has revealed she had a second cancer diagnosis in 2021 after having received successful treatment for breast cancer in 2005. In her self-titled new Netflix documentary released tomorrow, the Australian singer said she got through it again, but added she decided not to go public with the news. Minogue noted how she had struggled to find the right time to announce what she had been through for a second time, especially during the success of her Grammy-winning 2023 dance pop single, Padam Padam.
And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel's studios in Lagos.
Thanks, Simon. In the world of sports, there is no space for Super Eagles' #1 goalkeeper Stanley Nwabali after head coach Eric Schell announced the squad for Unity Cup and 2 international friendlies against Poland and Portugal. Coach Eric Schell picked 27-man squad for the mini-tournament at the Charlton Athletics Stadium between 26 and 30 May, with goalkeeper Francis Uzor, first-time invitee goalkeeper Arthur Okonkwo of Wrexham, and Ikorodu City goalkeeper Michael Atata on the list. To club football now, Aston Villa have ended their 44-year wait for a European glory, strolling past Freiburg 3-0 to win the Europa League finals in Istanbul. Yuri Tielemans fired Villa ahead after 41 minutes, and Emiliano Buendia curled in a superb strike from outside the box before halftime. Morgan Rogers stabbed in a third goal as Villa dominated in their first major finals to secure manager Unai Emery his record extending 5th Europa League title. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer has congratulated the club he supports, that's Arsenal, on winning the Premier League. The Prime Minister also joked about one of the Manchester's great heroes amid speculations that manager Pep Guardiola will move on from City at the end of the season.
Mr. Speaker, it would be remiss of me not to comment on one of Manchester's great heroes, moving on after almost a decade. So let me congratulate Pep Guardiola on all his success at Manchester City. And Mr. Speaker, if I could declare an interest, I'd also like to say congratulations to Arsenal Football Club on becoming the Premier League champions.
Congratulations galore for Arsenal. Well, that's sports. I'm Kelly Egigas. Back to you today.
Many thanks, Kelly. And the main news again. River State Governor Siminalayi Fubara has withdrawn from the forthcoming All Progressive Congress governorship primaries, citing the need to preserve peace, unity and stability in the state. As prominent leaders and pro-democracy icons gathered today in Lagos for the launch of the NADECO story, Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka applauded the group, describing it as one built on truth, courage, and authenticity. That's the news at 10 tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. You have a good night.